Welcome to The Stack, where we're having conversations with the people building the systems shaping Africa's digital future. Today, we have with us Winny, who is the Data and Insights Lead at DataWise Africa. Winny, I want us to just get right into it and start by telling us a bit about yourself and the work you do.
Thank you so much, Wabuda, for having me. Again, my name is Winny Sigilai. I lead the Data and Insights function at DataWise Africa. My work basically involves creating or building platforms that make data accessible, usable, and useful. Yeah, that is just in a nutshell what I do at DataWise.
And what's your background?
Well, I have a background in mathematics and computer science. That's my bachelor's, but along the way, I got into software engineering. So I started out as a software developer. And then along the way, I got interested in data, and that's how I am in this field at the moment.
So when you say that you make data that's accessible and useful, what does that mean?
Oh, data that is accessible and usable. Well, I did say data that is accessible, usable, and useful. What I mean is, yes, there's a lot of data. It's all fragmented everywhere in the continent at the moment. But there's a platform that you're building by the name Data Lab. It's a curated data catalog of different data sets from different domains. We have it in a sort of a hub. That is where people can now access the data. When you talk about usable data, it means this is data that can be used in different contexts for different purposes and to address different needs. When we talk about usefulness, it's what are some of the impacts that this data is giving to the community? Yes.
Okay, I want to ask you about the way that you said there's a lot of fragmented data.
Yes.
Do you mean that just in the context of Africa or like worldwide?
Well, if you compare Africa to other continents, Africa is where there's a lot of data. Data is actually available, but it's in different places. We don't necessarily have one place where we can actually say we have data of this particular domain in just one place that we can easily find it and use it. Yes.
So how do we bridge that gap?
At the moment, we are already bridging that gap at DataWise because we are collecting this data from the different sources and putting it into one major source.
And what would you say are data sets that you see are most needed in the African context that are not available now?
Well, in the African context, I would say in every different domain, there's a need for different kinds of data. For example, in healthcare, there's a need for data to actually do a lot of predictive analytics. There's a lot of data that you also need in the agricultural sector for doing the soil analytics and all this stuff. There's a lot of data that we need in manufacturing. There's a lot of data everywhere, literally every domain, we need data.
And we don't have this data?
Yes, it's there. Some sectors do have this data, but it's everywhere.
So this is the question that I asked actually in our last podcast, where we were talking to our engineers, and I asked them, is there support from governments and policymakers for them to be able to do the engineering work they need to do to create change? So I'd ask you the same thing. There's a data that's not there, that's available, that's fragmented, everything. Do you think that you would have the support that you needed to be able to get that data and make it, put together?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So from a policy perspective, I would say it is very much dependent on the different sectors as well. Because, for example, for healthcare, there's a lot of privacy concerns when it comes to data. So you can't necessarily collect the kind of data you want any day, anytime, because you have regulations that actually guide that. So I would say from a policy perspective, yes, the government's already doing a couple of initiatives to make sure this is out and make sure this data is out. For example, we have the AI policies. We have Rwanda's AI policy. We have Kenya's, which is still very new at the moment, and it's actually guiding data collection and finally building things that are foundations for AI, yes.
Do these regulations affect how you do your work, and to what extent, really?
Well, they do. Just giving a case example where I have a data set called African, and this data set is basically a collection of health facilities in Kenya. Now, in the event I wanted to expand and enrich my data set in a sense that I have data on different, let's call it patient data or medicine or anything clinical, I would necessarily need to get what is it called? Regulations to, there's some regulations that actually guide that. So I'll need to get some approvals from medical from the government and from Ministry of Health to actually do some of this data collection. So yes, I would say in some way it affects us, but it might be not as much, but there's more that could be done, yes.
Are there things that you just absolutely cannot access whatsoever when you're trying to do your research?
Yes, there's some things you need to seek approvals to actually do your research.
Is that approvals from the government, or is it from individuals or from companies?
So we are looking at it from two angles. Sometimes it's from the governments. If they own the data, then you need to seek approvals from them. And then if it's individually owned, data is a very expensive thing, so you need to actually buy it from them. So it's a win, it's a take-give situation where you have to pay them for the data. So yes, it's not always as straight as you'd expect.
And is most of the research that you do Africa-based, or is it worldwide?
It's worldwide because we are trying, or we are giving solutions that impact everyone, that impact communities, not only African communities, but those outside Africa as well, Latin America, South Asia, all that. So the research work that we do does not necessarily is not limited to just Africa.
Can you give me an example of maybe what kind of research that you've done recently?
Oh, okay. So we have done a research in AGI in low and middle income countries. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's just Africa, because there are other low and middle income countries outside Africa. And we were trying to assess the deployment of different AGI tools in the different contexts.
Define AGI for us.
Oh, wow. AGI is basically AI, but now on the device, on the edge. I'm really struggling to define AGI in a way that's not so technical. But then that's AGI in just, it's just deploying AI, but on a device that is physical and visible.
So in Africa and like everywhere?
Sorry?
Like Africa and everywhere, or is it specific?
Our research project?
Yes.
No, it was in Africa, Latin America, and South Asia.
Okay, and how do you think AI is doing in Africa?
Wow, okay. We are somewhere, we are not yet there.
Okay.
And this is why I say it, because everyone, when they talk about AI right now, they are talking about models, they are talking about algorithms. But ideally, data is the foundation for AI, because this is the same data that we need to actually train our AI models on. So if we do not have the data, and ideally we are saying at the moment that data in Africa is very skimpy, it's little, it's not available. And if it is, it's actually everywhere. So if that foundation is necessarily absent, then that means we are not doing well, but we are somewhere.
So if this data isn't available in Africa, where do you do your research? Like, where do you get your information from?
We are getting, I didn't say it's not in Africa, it's all over. So yes, we are doing our research based on the data that is all over. It takes a little bit of time and it's costly to actually look for the data everywhere, going to find it from the different places. I'm assuming a case where we had a specific hub where we have all our data somewhere in the continent. It will be so easy, because if you want to train a particular AI model, you'll be like, oh, we need to contact these people. They're going to have this data on this and this. But at the moment now, we do not have that. So we need to start by the very basics of doing the messy data collection.
Can we actually get to the point where the data is all together? Is that possible for us?
If you put in the work, why not? We are going to get there someday, yes.
Someday, but how long?
That's a bit hard to prove, because data is, it's so wide, it's a lot of it. Case example, at DataWise, we have been doing data collection for about 2-3 years now. We are not yet even halfway, not even like a third of it. So it needs like effort of everyone, the government, individuals, organizations, yes.
Do you think that your background in software engineering has contributed to your work in data? And like, what are the connections between those two fields? I'm assuming they're not too different, but like, what is that like?
They're not too different. And I like that question a lot, because I have a very controversial opinion that a good data engineer or a data specialist was once a software engineer.
Really?
And I know most people won't agree with me, but I always think somehow you need to go through that software development cycle and experience to actually be the best at what you do, what I do at data right now. Because most people would say data doesn't have a lot of coding, but I would say in my day-to-day tasks, somehow I need to code. Like I cannot avoid coding. It's not as much as I used to do in software, but yeah, there's coding. So I'd say my background in software is really helping a lot. grasping concepts as well, because we all learn every day. Like you can't stop learning as long as you're in tech.
Yeah.
So I would say my background in software, it's really helping me because I feel like grasping code concepts, to be honest, it was kind of a stretch. So at the moment, I would say like the concepts with data, it's a bit more straightforward as compared to software engineering.
Is software engineering something that you'd go back to?
Well, it depends. But now that AI is here, I don't think.
Oh, you think AI can just do the work for us?
Not necessarily do the work, but I feel like with AI and all these tools coming up, development is being not necessarily replaced by it, but the work that I used to do then can easily be done by an AI tool at the moment. So I wouldn't want to go back there because I still need my job. Yes.
Okay. Can AI do the work that you're doing now, the data work?
Yeah, of course, it can actually do the work that I am doing. Not 100% of it, because one thing I am not so proud of at the moment as someone who's working in data is sometimes we really have to deal with the raw and the messy data. And most of the time, no one wants to do that because it's the data, it's collecting data from every missing piece, every other place. It's collecting data from different places. I do not think AI can do that at the moment, but I think in the future, maybe. Let's see what these developers have for us.
Okay, so why don't you walk us through that process from beginning to end of the data collection, making it into a data set, posting it on, the data lab platform. Can you walk us through that process?
Okay, we call it the data lifecycle. So first things first, so we have are you asking what I do at DataWise or what generally the data lifecycle looks like everywhere?
You can give us both.
Wow. I'll give the overview and then I can give you what I do at DataWise.
Okay, yeah.
So normally the data lifecycle, you start with the data collection. And data collection basically means getting the data from the different sources that you have. It could be from the internet. It could be from even speaking to people, interviews. Data collection could basically mean anything because at the moment, if we are speaking this way, we're also doing data collection. Now, after collection is the processing phase where we're having now this data in a data hub somewhere. In this case, you can store your data in different places. The tools that we're using at the moment is Excel. We have databases. We have Google BigQuery. There are other tools that different people are using depending on an organization's needs. Now, after storing the data in a database, there's what we call analysis. This is trying to get now insights from the different kind of data that we have. After analysis is basically now drawing insights from the data and then visualization, where we are trying now to communicate trends, to communicate what the data is trying to show. So yeah, I would say data collection, processing, analysis, visualization, and finally, something that isn't very much spoken about is now the data storytelling, where you have to actually explain to people or rather individuals. Because I'm assuming a case, given an example where, or let me just give an example of how I have done before at DataWise.
Yeah.
Now, I have this data set, but somehow I need to speak or give insights on this data set to a couple of stakeholders. First of all, I clean the data set. I do the data collection. No, it's data collection first, data cleaning. I try to analyze this data. I put it in a sort of a visualization tool. After visualizing it, you need to have it in a sort of what we call a dashboard. Now, it's having different visualizations in just one big sort of area. And now you have to master how that, when the stakeholders take a look at that one thing, it's able to give them information they need in just like a snapshot. So yes, that is the art of data storytelling. So the data that we are collecting should be able to give a story without necessarily going into the deep and going into the raw and messy data. Yes.
The data just tells you everything that
it
you need
has
to know.
Tell you everything, yes.
What exactly do you mean by data cleaning? What does that entail?
Oh, well, data cleaning is, now, anytime you have a data set, and it's, I'm going to use an example to explain what data cleaning is. They could be missing values. You have a data set on, for example, list of healthcare facilities in, give an example, this country, Kenya. We have, at the moment, we have a data set with about 309 hospitals, that is level 4 and level 5. To be honest, there are very many hospitals in Kenya at the moment. They're not necessarily 309.
Yeah.
So, but these hospitals, they have like different variables. And by variables, I mean the things that actually define these hospitals. For example, their location, the bed capacity of the different hospitals. So in a case where you're assessing a data set, it has to have either missing values, there are inconsistencies, sometimes there are duplicates. You have like 3 hospitals in the same data set. So data cleaning is basically having a whole data set that doesn't have all these errors. Yes.
Okay. So is there a data set that you want to work on that maybe you haven't started yet?
That I want to work on that I have not started yet. Well, the ones that I have, I would say I've done some work on them. So it's some of them are education data sets, healthcare data sets. The one that I intend to work on is agriculture. This is why I feel like agri in Kenya has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But again, all this data is somewhere and everywhere. The problem right now is when you want to create a data set, you want to be addressing a problem that is existing and you want to give a solution for it. So let's say I'm trying to find now what is the solution that I want to offer to the agricultural sector in this country. That's why that's a data set I want to really work on. I feel like in the future, I want to be a farmer. So there has to be some connection to that. Yes, that's why I want to work on, we're going to call it Agri-Ken. So it's Agriculture Kenya. But in the event someone out there has, let's call it a solution they want me to actually, a problem they want me to give a solution to, I'm happy to actually speak to them so they can just reach out to me.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what's so funny is that you're not the only engineer who has told me that you want to be a farmer. So I don't know, is it something that you guys are always working towards, or I don't know?
I would say I've had that a lot as well. Like many engineers do want to practice farming at some point.
Yeah.
I honestly feel sometimes the code and the screens is too much. You just need to go somewhere. I always dream of having a ranch sometime in the future. So yeah, just somewhere you can relax. No big stress, no big screens to actually look at and strain your eyes. And I think the farm is the place to be. I don't know.
Oh, that's the end goal.
Yes.
Yeah. All the best.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a bit more about this policy conversation.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of talk about like data-driven decisions from governments and like institutions. From what you've seen, how often is it the case that their decisions are actually data-driven and not like we make the decision and then we look at the data?
Well, at the moment, I would say most of the policies that the government is implementing and all that, I would say some of them are data-driven because, again, we have professionals who are very much in these spaces. I wouldn't necessarily say they may be very much experienced, but I would say they are doing some good job. Yes. So because I was seeing the AI policy that was recently released, and there's actually some good job, and you can actually tell these decisions are a bit data-driven. They may not be where I would specifically, as a professional, say it's enough, but it's somewhere.
What would be enough for you?
Wow, I'm not anti-government at the moment, so I don't want to fight with them. Yes.
Okay, that's okay. Let me ask you. You said that you host your data sets on the Data Lab platform. Now, I'm not a techie, so my question is a bit...
It's fine.
Yeah. But in terms of like data localization, what do you think about that? Should our data be hosted locally, and is the Data Lab platform hosted locally, or do you have to outsource certain things for it to be able to be functional?
No. Our data is very much hosted locally. That is what Data Lab is actually pushing a lot. We want to call it data sovereignty. It's where data sets created within the continent are also hosted and used locally. Yes.
So that's better than having it hosted elsewhere.
I mean, for security reasons, it's only important that we host our own data. I mean, that's a very important tool. It's the most expensive thing at the moment now.
What do you mean by security? Is it not safe to have it like
to be honest, yes. There's a lot of things that anyone can do when they have access to your data.
For example?
Case example, you as a person. So you have a couple of things about you that you wouldn't necessarily want anyone else to know. But just take an example. You're out there somewhere and an AI tool is describing who you are, exactly what you do, where you are always at. I mean, that would be breaching your security, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So you wouldn't want that for yourself. So I think having and hosting this data locally is important for us as a continent. Because again, we want to grow ourselves. We want to grow our tech space. So it's only important that we host our own data.
So actually, that begs the question, what is safe? Because I keep hearing these conversations of people who are saying that you tell AI too much and you're giving it so much information. Sometimes you're posting documents directly from like, your work platform and you're saying, AI, do this and this and this for me. Like, is that actually safe or?
Okay. In all honesty, that's not quite safe.
Okay.
That is what we call like AI ethical practices. So naturally, not naturally, technically an AI, they would take in your data because again, you're helping those people train and you're helping those people do better as a model. But then for you, it wouldn't be so safe for your data to be out there any day, anytime, honestly.
And these laws that govern AI, are they local or are they depending on where the AI is coming from?
Oh, the laws that govern AI.
Yeah. Are they localized to specific areas?
At the moment, I would say the policies that are we talking in the African context?
In all contexts, but yes, in the African context as well.
I would say the laws governing AI at the moment are not quite clear because AI is still, well, it's not a very much new thing, but people are experimenting a lot with it at the moment as compared to way before. So I wouldn't say there are policies that are, or laws that are governing AI and use of AI. I think it's just about how far can you go and how far can things catch up with you at the moment. But I feel like maybe the government should actually work on that because there's a lot that AI can do that it's not being tracked at the moment.
Yeah, sometimes I feel a bit unsafe when I use AI and I'm like telling it all these things about myself because it has that new feature of like memory where it remembers everything that you said, which is a bit creepy. But anyway, what's one like insight from your work in data that you wish more people understood that's not really understood in the market today?
Oh, wow. What's one insight that's not quite understood? I mean, there are very many of them.
You can give us a few examples.
All of them are like sector specific or domain specific.
Okay.
One insight that is specific to the data that I work on. Wow, that's a very interesting one. I'm just trying to find one at the top of my head. Maybe I'd refer to some of the insights that I get from my work on the data in education sector.
Okay.
And I would say we have the schools. We have this information everywhere. From what I work on and the kind of data that I am working with and what I am seeing from the insights, education sector should be somewhere very high. We should be able to get like quality education in Kenya because as for the facilities that offer these education programs and everything, they are quite a lot.
Okay.
So if you compare, now the other thing is that I was just, so this data set, let me just get specific to this data set that I'm working on in the education sector. It has like a number of programs and courses offered by the different institutions in Kenya. And I see the possibility of having very many Kenyan youth get out there and study. Like we have the resources, we have the schools, we have these courses being offered. But if you compare the value of what we are getting in terms of skills out here, I would say it doesn't equally match.
Okay.
Yes. So we have the schools, we have the programs, but if you compare to the skills, so there's something wrong in between because either we are going to school and we are not getting what we are supposed to get or something is wrong somewhere.
And you think that's a problem with the data that's there, that's available?
No, I don't think that's a problem with the data at this point. That is what the data is communicating. Because if you now I'm combining two insights from what I have and from what I know from my research, is we don't really have, now Kenyan universities nowadays, and I'm sorry to say, but we have this habit of going to school, we only learn for the exams. We only read for the
just
exams.
Memorizing things.
Exactly, you memorize things. But when you're out here now in the job market is when you realize, I was supposed to be learning like programming languages, all this. Case example, my case. I went to KU, Kenyatta Uni. In the 4 years, and I'm not ashamed to actually say this, but I wasted a lot of time. I should have learned to code maybe in first year. I would be somewhere better now. But the thing is, I think what do we call it? Is it the syllabus? Or there's a name for it, but I'm missing it. That is being offered. The curriculum doesn't necessarily match the market expectations.
Okay.
So I think that's a problem we need to address.
Why do you think it doesn't reach the market expectations? Like, what's different outside that's not being taught inside?
Oh, what is being taught in schools is basically a lot of paperwork, not necessarily the skills that you actually require to apply in a real job market.
Like, it's more theory than practicality.
Yes, it's more theory.
So have you found that you've had to do like courses outside, like after university, to like brush up on these skills?
Yeah, I personally went to, and sorry, I'm advertising my school.
No, please do.
But then I went to Moringa School right after my BSc. And that is where I would say it was a very intense boot camp, 6 months. And that is where I got to learn a lot about now software development using the different tools compared to when I was in KU. Sorry to say, I did a lot of math. Calculus, was it called differentiation, all that very hard stuff, and I've never applied any of that. Maybe it helped me with critical thinking and all that, but honestly speaking, I wish I would have had like career, maybe advice way before I took that course. I'm not so sure. I always feel like I made a mistake, but it is what it is.
So if you could go back, what would you do differently? Like, would you choose a different course? Would you choose a different university? Like, what was it?
Uni, maybe yes.
Okay.
But again, if we're not speaking for an individual, in this case, me, we're speaking for all those other students out there.
Yeah.
Let's just say, let's change the curriculum that we offer in our public universities to actually match what is expected in the job.
What have you found that is expected of you in the job?
Sorry?
What have you found that is expected of you? Like, what's expected of you in the job?
You need to have the skills. You cannot work. You're useless as long as you don't have the skills. And I remember my friend used to tell me, Winnie, if you leave campus without with just this degree and without the skills, you're as good as someone who'd never stepped your foot into a university. So I was like, wow.
So you feel it didn't build the skills, it just gave you papers?
Yes.
What skills do you need to work in such a field as you do?
Data analysis, using these different tools. And I understand every other time new tools emerge. For example, with data analysis now, the tools that were being used or famous like 3 years ago, they are changing. In the next 2 years, the tools that I am using at the moment, they will change. So there's the art of learning and relearning. And I think with campus, we were learning like languages that 2006 going backwards, like they no longer use that in the job nowadays. Exactly.
Do you think you need a background in research to work in the field that you do?
Now, so I work in like 2 fields. There's data and insights, and there's research. So do I need
Do you need a background in like research, like a degree in research, or like do you need to understand how to do that deeply for you to be able to be in the field that you're in?
You can always learn anything. I would start from there. Okay. I was never in the field of research. Somehow it caught up with me.
Yeah.
And I actually like it here.
Okay.
Yes. So I would say anything is teachable and learnable. So if you want to learn something, trust you me, you would learn it. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't necessarily need to have a background in anything to actually learn it. If you have the zeal, go for it.
So when you say that you work in like different fields, data, insights, and research, what's the difference between the 3 fields and how do they work together?
Okay, good question. So, data and insights, okay, they all work together somehow. So for data, when you have the data, you're able to give what we call strategic intelligence. And that is insights. You can't get like any insights without the data. Now, for the data and insights, these are foundations for the research. Because anytime you're doing research, you need to find the data. For you to actually communicate your research, you need to do the visualizations and in this case, provide insights. So they all talk to each other in some way, data, insights, and research.
And who is looking for this data? Do you work mostly with like governments or with individuals or like with companies? Who is looking for this data? And can they just come to you and say, I need this, and you provide it?
Anytime, yeah. We do, apart from the data that we already have, we do like custom data collection for our clients. So clients can be anyone. We work with governments, we work with institutions, we work with organizations and individuals. If anyone wants to use data for any particular course, they would just reach out to us and we are going to provide that. That's part of the services we offer data-wise.
Okay.
Yes.
And just let's go back to the conversation on Africa and our data capacity. Okay. What needs to exist now that doesn't exist for us to be able to have full capacity over our data?
What doesn't exist now?
Yeah.
I'd say everyone is is focused on, and I had said this before, this data is available. Everyone is just focused on doing the extras. No one wants to actually do the dirty and messy work. So if we join hands and do the raw and messy, collect it, we're going to get somewhere.
You think it's messy?
It's actually messy because it's everywhere. I mean,
Okay.
yes.
How long does it take you on average to do that research and to collect the data?
Of a particular project or...
Yeah.
Well, different projects demand different timelines. Like for the project that I had said before, it was AGI in low and middle income countries. It took us 3-4 months to actually collect the data.
And then that's when you start the process that follows that, like the insights, analysis.
No, you can actually do the analysis and the insights and drawing the insights from the data as soon as you have at least a quarter of the data. Because again, even if you have 2 entries, you can always compare them, and that's insights.
Okay. So is it like the data set that you host, it combines this insight and the research together? Or is it just a list of let's say level 4 hospitals in Kenya?
Oh, well, maybe I didn't mention that now for our platform that I talked about, Data Lab. Data Lab is a platform for hosting and managing data products, not necessarily data sets. Now, when I talk about data products, that's number 1, data sets. Number 2, dashboards. Number 3, reports. Now, the data sets is basically just the data as it is. The dashboards is now the insights.
Okay.
Yeah, these are a collection of visualizations that actually communicate what the data is about. It doesn't necessarily have to come from the data sets that we already own, but even data from outside. If we have data somewhere and you want us to visualize it for you, you want us to put it in a manner where you can actually use it to communicate some insights, then that is what we do. So dashboards. As for reports, now you have this data, you have the insights. You want to write a whole technical, let's say you want to give it to stakeholders somewhere. That's when the reports come in. So it's ideally communication. Yes.
That's a long process.
Well, but we're doing it. I mean, we're here for you.
I mean, somebody has to do it, and you guys have started doing it, which is exactly what we need.
Exactly.
Let me ask you, you were at a conference last year, if I'm not wrong. What is it that you were presenting on?
Oh, I was at a health conference. It's called ODC. It was in Kampala last year. It was all about, I was presenting one of our data sets. It's called Afyaken. It's a data set on healthcare facilities in Kenya. Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So ideally, this is how Afyaken was born. So we realized there's a problem in Kenya. And this problem, it was during the COVID-19 period where we were all looking for one thing, and it's a hospital because there was this outbreak. We don't know what this disease is all about. We don't want to be around each other. So the only place you can be around is just near a medical professional because you want to be safe. Now we realized, is there a way we can actually locate or source the hospitals that are near or next to us? Because again, you're not allowed to go far. It was the period of where the pandemic was really hitting. We're like, wait, we really don't have a data set where it has a list of all our hospitals. And even in the sense where the government wants to distribute the resources, for example, even the masks, is there a data set where they can track and say, we have given this particular hospital this and this. There are a number of hospitals in this county that needs this number of masks and all these things. So we're like, that's a problem. And now Afyaken was the solution to that problem. And let's have a data set that has all these hospitals listed somewhere, the bed capacity of these particular hospitals, their locations, and a couple of other things. So that's how Afyaken was born. So the main issue it was addressing then and still now, in the event a pandemic, God forbid, comes up, we are like, by the way, guys, we have this data set that is listing all the hospitals in Kenya. In the event the government wants to distribute resources, could be medicine, it could be even maybe depending on the pandemic that will hit us. Sorry, it won't hit us. Exactly. But depending on whatever issue that will come up, at least we can actually locate this, because you can only help somebody where you know they are, where you know where they are and what they are doing. Yes.
Was that the first data set that you guys sort of built?
I'd say among the first.
Okay.
Yes, because we did the education data set way before the healthcare.
Okay. And I want us to just close off the episode here. But is there anything about data in Kenya and Africa that you want to leave us with that we need to hear that we haven't been hearing?
Maybe you have been hearing it before, but I will say it over and over again.
Yeah.
And I want to link it to AI and everything.
Yeah.
We keep on saying that AI is the new thing. It's going to change the world. It's going to do all these things.
Yeah.
But without the foundation for it, which is data, we are going nowhere. We're as good as doing nothing. So in as much as we want to build all these models, guys, let's work on the data first. Yeah, let's have this data somewhere. Let's make it available. Yeah, let's make it useful. Let's make it accessible. That's the only way to actually achieve those AI goals that we are dreaming of.
So Winny is the foundation of AI. Winny and team.
Winny and team.
Yeah, the foundation.
And so many people out there is the foundation of AI, yes.
That is a very good point to hear because AI is like everything nowadays. It's water and air. So thank you so much, Winny, for joining us on today's episode. To our audience, you've been listening to The African Stack, a podcast powered by DataWise Africa. Thanks for tuning in and see you next time.